Have you ever written the same SQL query over and over again? Or struggled with performance issues due to repeated execution of complex queries? If yes, then you need to know about stored procedures in SQL Server. Hello everyone, welcome back to CodeWithAbby. In today's video, we are going to dive into one of the most powerful features of SQL Server, that is stored procedures. By the end of this video, you will know what a stored procedure is and why it is essential, its key features and advantages, how to create and execute a stored procedure in multiple ways, how to use parameters, handle incorrect parameter sequence, and modify or delete procedures, and even how to view the stored procedures text in 3 different ways. This video is packed with practical examples and real-time use cases, so stick around it. And if you find this useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on our latest SQL videos. Alright, so let's get started. I am in SQL Server Management Studio, and to demo today's concepts, let's go and create a table first. We are going to create one table called TVL employees. This has got a couple of fields: employee ID, employee name, gender, email, salary, and department. Okay, so let's go and create this table. Selecting this script and hitting the execute button, table gets created. Let's go and insert some details into the table. There are records, 5 records got inserted. Let's make sure that records have been inserted. Select query, select star from TVL employees, and we see that this is the data. There are 5 employee details: Rajat Thakkar, Sumit Agarwal, Neha Sharma, Dino Jason, and Tony Rob. They all belonging to different departments. Make sense? Let's go and try to first understand the definition of stored procedures, features of stored procedures, and why should we use stored procedures, and then we will come back again here to see everything in action. So let's define the stored procedure here. It is pre-compiled set of SQL statement that is stored in database and executed just single on it. Let's try to understand one scenario. You have to write a couple of SQL queries, let's say 3-4 select statement or one big select statement, which does many things, which retrieves data from many tables based on some condition, stuff like those. And you're going to use this query very frequently. Let's say you're going to use this query in every page of your application which you are developing. Okay, so what will happen? This particular set of query is being repeated. I mean, they will be called repeatedly or at various places. Instead, what you can do is you can encapsulate the whole logic, the query logic. You can encapsulate the whole query logic and give it to a name. For example, you are going to get the let's say employee details based on department. So you can write a name called employees by department. So employees by department is a name, and within which you have written your query. So there are a couple of benefits out of it. Number one is, instead of writing the whole set of queries at different places, you will only write the name. So you will call by that name, and your logic has been encapsulated under the heading of that name. Make sense? So this is how we need it. And the point coming here is pre-compiled. So every time when you run a query in SQL Server, it is compiled, and then there are many phases. You can refer our other videos. I can give you the link in the I button. So how basically the queries are getting translated from the whole execution process, right from the hitting execute button till it gets you the result. Okay, so it is pre-compiled. So every time when you execute a query, it is compiled. So in case of SQL Server Stored Procedure, it is just compiled once and it is kept aside, it is cached. And then second time when you are going to use it, it is basically used from there. It is not compiled every time. It is pre-compiled setup, wherein you can encapsulate your logic, and this basically improves the performance that every time it is not taking time in compilation again and again. It uses the cached version of this, so it improves the performance as well. enhance the security in terms of, like, if you are going to use SQL Server Stored Procedure, it enhances the security as well. There are many ways that we can define it. I will talk these in about either in this video or then part 2 of this video about the security of stored procedures. And promote code reusability. Reusability written at one place and to be used at many places. So hope this defines the stored procedures in SQL Server. Stored procedures features. Let's talk about the first. It is pre-compiled. As we discussed in the previous snap, it is pre-compiled and the cached version is used again and again. So it improves the performance. Reusability, you have written at one place and then you are using at many places just by referring that name. So it reusability. It avoids the repetition of SQL queries. So instead of writing the whole SQL queries, you simply write the name, encapsulated name, the name of the stored procedure. Next is security, restricts direct table access. So once you are writing stored procedures, basically your logic is written within the stored procedure name. And while calling, you are not calling by the name of the table. Instead, you are simply calling the stored procedure name. And this way, it enhances the security as well. Maintainability. So let's say you have written a stored procedure and you have used at 100 places. So you want to do changes in logic of that stored procedures or logic on that particular code block. So you simply go and change at one place, and that is in a stored procedure. And since this is used at many places, the name has been used, so you are not required to do changes at 100 places. Instead, just one place. So this is maintainability. You find your application more maintainable, right? Instead, if you had written queries at 100 places and you wanted to do changes in the business logic or anything, so you had to do the changes at all 100 places. Less load on traffic. So if you are working on an application wherein there is a client and there is a server, so this is your database and you are hitting requests from here to this place. So let's say you want to get some data from employee table. So you are writing select all from employee. So whole statement, that is select all from employee, travels from here to here. So this is a big statement that is traveling on the net. Instead, if you have written the stored procedure out here only and simply writing the name of the stored procedure, so only the small name of the stored procedure travels from here to here. So this way, there is no much load on the traffic. Let's go and try to see the SQL Server Stored Procedure creation and the other stuffs, like how can we execute the stored procedure, how can we see the content of stored procedures, how can we alter the stored procedures, and then finally how can we delete the stored procedures. So we have seen that select all from TVL employees, and this gives you the data here. Okay, let's say this query gets increased and it has got, let's say, 4 or 5 lines of statements. Maybe you are joining it to some other table, putting some conditions, stuff like those. And then you are going to use this. Let's say this is something which is pretty much required at various level of your application, which you are writing and you are going to use it. So the same set of query will be used at various places. Tomorrow, if you want to go and make some changes, let's say it has been used at 100 places. So you have to go and choose the changes at 100 places. Instead, what we can do, we can simply encapsulate this whole line into one name, and that is stored procedure. Let's go and see how can we create. So it's very simple. All you require is to do is create and then procedure. You can also write proc. So you simply can write proc or procedures. So either way possible. So create procedure, and this is the procedure name. I am writing an USP, that is user stored procedure, and underscore get employee details. So what we are getting is employee details, and writing as begin and end. Begin, the stored procedures, everything logic has to be written within this begin and end section. So what I did is I simply took that SQL query and brought it within this begin and end section, and then I created a name, a stored procedure, which is called USP get employee details. Make sense? let's go and try to create. So I think now we are clear about how to create a stored procedure. Create procedure, procedure name as begin end, and within this begin end you have to write all these queries. Make sense? Let's go and select this and hit this button. So this says that commands completed successfully. That means this has been written. Now let's see this stored procedure has been created or not. So how can we do that? For that we can go ahead. So this is your database CWA demo. So you will expand it, and there is a section called programmability. You expand it, and the section is a stored procedure. So you see here one stored procedure has been created, that is called get employee details here. Make sense? So your stored procedure has been created. Now let's go and execute this stored procedure. So how can we execute this stored procedure? The stored procedure can be executed in many ways. You can write execute and then the stored procedure name. So I'm selecting this and let's hitting this button. You see this produces the same result. This is the first way. Second way, you can write exec, so only 4 letters, and then stored procedure name. Let me select and execute this. It produces the same result. The third way is simply the name of the stored procedures. No execute, no exec. So I'm just hitting this and you see this produces the same result. And the fourth way is click the stored procedure and coming here and say execute stored procedure. Once you say this execute stored procedures, it opens up an interface. If you are to supply some parameters, I will be talking about this, then it will ask. Otherwise you just hit this OK button and this stored procedure gets executed. Make sense? Then you have learned 4 ways of executing stored procedures. Make sense? Let's go and try to write one more stored procedure wherein you are passing some parameter. So I'm going to get a query. My query is I'm going to display the name of the employee, the details of the employees belonging to particular department. So I have created a department named field, a variable of varchar 100 type. I'm assigning it IT, and then I'm going to say select all from TVL employees where department equal to this department name. In this case it is IT. So let's go and select this, and this should give me all IT department employees details. Make sense? Perfect. So this is a SQL query, and I want to achieve the same in stored procedures. So for this I also want to create one stored procedure. Please note that this query is different from the previous query because previous query did not have any parameter. This was simply select all from employees. But here we have to pass one parameter also. We have to give something to procedure also. Hey procedure, give me the answer based on what I am giving to you. Make sense? So this is another variant of stored procedure which we write is at parameters, how to pass parameters into a stored procedure. So we will see one parameter passing to this stored procedure now. Okay, let's try to understand. Create procedure. This is the procedure name. USP get employees based on department. And here this is the parameter list. I'm going to pass a parameter. What is the parameter? Parameter is department name. Make sense? So I'm going to pass this parameter department name and then again as begin and end. And here I'm writing select all from TVL employees where department is the field name of the table equals the value that you have passed here. Make sense? This is 2 values. So this is simple. You can create and as many number of as parameter you want, you can give it here. So let's go and create this procedure again. Let's make sure that table procedure has been created. This is not showing here. You need to refresh it again, refresh, and then you should see these two. The one which I have just created, get employees based on department. Make sense? Then the procedure has been created. Now let's go and execute this. So this procedure, once you execute, it needs a parameter. If you are trying to execute like this, it will not, because it expects one parameter department name. All right, because when you execute this, it needs one value out here. So I am passing one value to this. So this should give me all IT employees here. So it is giving me the same result as this SQL query. And since you have created the procedure, you are achieving all those features of procedures like reusability, security, and pre-compiled, and lots of reusability, maintainability, lots of things there. Okay, you can also execute this procedure from graphically. So you go here and right click and then execute the procedures, and then here you have to supply the value. So here I'm supplying IT. Okay, and then okay, and then it should show me all these IT employees. Make sense? Perfect. Having said that, we have created procedure with one argument. Let's go and create other procedures. Here I am introducing one more thing. In practical examples, in real-time examples in industries, when you will start authoring a stored procedure, you need to keep these things in mind, that your code should be written in such a way that it should check the existence of the procedure. If it is existing already, then it should delete it. So that's where I have introduced this for you. You try to learn this. This is very simple. It tries to find that if any object exists with this name where the type is procedure, if it exists, then drop this. This is the way you can drop the procedure, drop that name and then create it again. Make sense? So you always make a practice whenever you are creating a procedure or any database object, try to keep this and try to introduce such a thing. We have already been practicing this in case of creating our tables. So you can see here example, object ID is this. So this is what I wanted to tell you. Here we are going to create procedure which will take two parameters. The one is gender and the other is department name. The previous example we have seen just one parameter. Here there are two parameters. The procedure is USP get employee by gender and department. And here simple query, select all from employees where department equals to past department and gender equal to past gender. Create this procedure. Procedure has been created and you will say it should be visible here also. Yep, it's got created. Now let's go and try to execute this. So I'm creating department variable and gen variable. Gen will store gender, that is male it is storing, and let's go and execute this. This get executes. This is displaying all male having department as IT. So it is showing Tony Rao. Make sense? You can also write execute or simply the three ways that I told, this way, or you can also do it that way, this way. Okay, so or you can also go and do it graphically. One problem that I wanted to discuss with you is this procedure has two parameters and this parameter has got a sequence. The first parameter always must be gender and the second parameter must be department name. So while calling the procedure, you have to take care of, first you have to supply gender and the second you have to supply department name. So here, if I'm going to execute this, it gives me the result, IT department and male. But what if I miss the sequence? I know that gender should go first and then department should go. If I'm missing the sequence, so what will happen? This will be mapped to this guy. Where is that? This guy. The first thing will map to this guy and the second thing will be mapped to this guy. So it doesn't know whether you are passing what value. So the IT will be mapped to gender and male will be mapped to department name, and hence it will produce incorrect data. So it is not answering, it's not giving any result because there is no gender called IT and there is no department called male. By chance, these two fields are having same data type. If let's say you are having different data types, it could have given a different type of errors telling that we cannot convert varchar to int or int to varchar like that. But here, since two parameters of this procedure has same data type, that's why it at least executed. So it's mandatory for you to always maintain the sequence. Now what I can do, I can supply male first, which is gender, and then I can supply department. And then let's see, the same thing will work. Make sense? So the question is, do we really need to remember the sequence? And what if my stored procedure has got, let's say, 15 of such parameters? So in that case, I need to remember the sequence of all 15 parameters? The answer is obviously not. Then you have the solution. And the solution is, you can write parameterized name here. So you are, while calling the stored procedure, hardly matters that in which sequence that values are being passed. You can simply give the name of the parameter, that is department name, this one. Where is that? This one. And then gender is that name. Right? So you can give the name of the parameter and that respective value. You see that the sequence is not maintained. The first is, it is sent as department name, and the second it is sent as the gender is sent at the last, but still it will work. So the solution is, you can use the parameters name and then the sequence doesn't really matter. Make sense? Going next to see how can we view the content of the stored procedure. The stored procedure content can be viewed using system stored procedures. So stored procedures have types. There are system stored procedures, and that once we create is user stored procedures. There are other types of stored procedures as well. I'll talk about those in next session. But there is a stored procedure which system provides us, SQL Server provides us, and this is called SP help text. So simply write SP help text and the name of your procedure. So once your procedure name you write an SP help text, then you can display the content of your procedure. This will give you the text of this. You can copy this here. You can go to new, you can paste it, and here is, you can view the content of the procedure right here. Make sense? There is other way that you can do is also object definition, object ID this, and then this should show you all the stored procedure content. And the third way that you can right click the stored procedure and you can go to script stored procedure and create to add new. So right here, you can come here, you can go to create to a new editor window, and then you can see that your stored procedure contents are displayed. You can check and can do some sort of query that you wanted to do. Make sense? So this is the way that you can view the stored procedure content. You can alter the stored procedure. Remember, we have written one small stored procedure earlier, USP get employee details. The requirement changed, and where we wanted an order by on name. So right now, once we execute this procedure, you see that it is not displaying names in the order by way. But then we got this requirement, and for that we wanted to change this procedure. So if you want to change this procedure, you have to write as alter procedure name, alter procedure and procedure name, and everything should be same. Now you have introduced this. So let's go and execute this. Procedure has been altered, and now you can call this procedure. You see now the names are in order. This way you can delete this procedure. You simply select drop procedure and procedure name, and this will be deleted. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more high quality technical content. Drop your question in any comments and I will be happy to answer them. See you in the next one. Bye bye.